YouTube. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Welcome to tonight's podcast YouTube video lecture. Right, so I want to delve more into the concept of left-hand path versus right-hand path. Now, before I get into that, I need to let you know, if this is your first time on my channel, I am not going to be talking about modern Western magic. If you have the ability and the patience to sit through and listen to something that might be different from your personal experience, you will see the similarities. You will see the underlying synchronistic ways that we hook up. But I just want to be clear about that. I am not talking about anything that I believe is connected to anything modern Western magic. What I am going to be talking about is the left-hand path versus the right-hand path in terms of energy work. That's what we're going to be focusing on. I'm an energy practitioner. I do energy work, which some people call Qigong, and I am somebody who does the Mao Shan, which is a sect of Taoism, and we use the energies that they work with, which is, as I'm going to explain, is different from your typical Chinese Taoist energy practice, although they look very similar, and we can definitely connect with the same energies. But there is a definite difference once you get to the higher levels. We're going to be talking about some of the misconceptions about left-hand path versus right-hand path, and we're going to be talking about some of the misconceptions about masculine versus feminine, yin versus yang. That would be yin is feminine, yang is masculine. We're going to talk about what those differences are energetically, and we're also going to be talking about what is the goal, what is the end game of each practice, left hand versus right hand. So get your notepads out, because I may be telling you things completely opposite from what you're expecting, because as I said, there's a lot of misconception about this, and I have to say, generally speaking, our modern society is completely discombobulated when it comes to the masculine and the feminine. We see this just in, society. There's this whole gender misunderstanding. You have to make sure, would you like to be called him or her or it or them? I mean, there's such a dysfunction in terms of how we identify ourselves. And because the masculine, I'm going to take responsibility, being that I'm a man, I'm going to take responsibility, because the masculine, who knows, 1500 or so years ago, lost its true understanding of its own path. The feminine has had to go out of balance in order to try and balance that out. And so you have women acting like men, and you have men acting like women, or the masculine acts like feminine, and it causes all kinds of problems. We have pseudo spirituality, all that kind of garbage. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all of that. You can come to your own conclusions about that. We're going to start just by looking at masculine and feminine, left hand versus right hand. So let's take a look at this picture. This is a picture of Shiva and Shakti, the union of masculine and feminine. And on the right, I'm assuming, yeah, it looks like on the right, yeah. On the right side, which would be your left as you look at it, his right is Shiva. And on your right, which is her left, is Shakti. Now, I like that photo and it shows some um, interesting opposites of what you might expect. The yang, which is the masculine, which is supposed to be fire, which is supposed to be externally dynamic, he's very cold. He's got a blue color, and it looks more yin than yang. And she is actually bright and fiery looking. And she's actually externally exhibiting more masculine than feminine. That's okay, because there's some truth about all this, and the source of masculine is feminine and the source of feminine is masculine, so that works out just fine. The one thing that I would change is I would have him hold up his palm to the heart, and I would have her hold her hand down at the bottom. And for those of you who are doing the Warrior 90-day challenge and you are working with the Yin Yang hands, you know exactly why that is. Because the right hand side of the body is the masculine. And so in our Maoshan practice, the first form, the most important form, which is the Yin Yang hands, the right hand is going to be up at the chest like she has it, and the left hand is going to be down below. So there's nothing wrong with what they've got going on, because that's the second half, is what she's showing. She's got her left hand up here, and his right hand is down, being the feminine in that. If you want to learn more about that, you can go to thunderwizard.com. By the way, I was just talking with somebody yesterday, one of my apprentices, and I was explaining to him how that whole practice, 1, 2, up, down, that if you do that regularly, that practice is really the most powerful moving energy practice that there is. If you've done the Awakening the Immortals Qigong, if you're new to the channel, you can go onto my channel and find it for free. I will write it down here for you. Awakening the Immortals Qigong. That is a Maoshan energy practice, and feel free to go and do that if you like. You can, in that practice, you see a lot of that, the Yin Yang hands, and you know, if you don't know now you do, that is what is one of the things that's creating such an intense energy. So anybody who does the Awakening the Immortals Qigong, you'll be able to feel the Maoshan energy very quickly. And one of the reasons for that is because there's this practice of doing the Yin Yang hands and dynamically activating Yin and Yang to create. So Yin and Yang create. So before we get into this left hand, right hand, masculine, feminine, let us go through the creation of matter. This is going on all the time. This wasn't something that happened, 65 billion years ago or whenever at the Big Bang. This is happening every nanosecond, all the time. This creation of matter, energy, space, time is happening all the time. But here's how the mythology goes. In the beginning, there was nothing. There was a void. From the void, which we would call the one, from the one came the two. The two is yin and yang, masculine and feminine, light and dark, the two polar opposites. From yin and yang came the three. So you see a trinity in just about every tradition in the world. There's a trinity: God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu, Odin, Vili, and Ve. There's always a trinity. So from the duality comes the trinity. From the trinity comes the 5 elements. And from the 5 elements comes everything else, infinity. So the 5 elements are, and that's why we do this 5-element practice up here. We do this 5-element practice because everything around you is made up of some combination or some expression of the five elements. But we go back, and here in this Maoshan practice, we're doing the five elements. I'm just about to upload the earth. So this is why, one of the reasons why this is such a powerful practice. But before we get to that, we have the three ones. Before we get to the three, we have the two. And it is the dynamic clash of these two that creates the universe. And a good example is if you've ever had two magnets and you turn them around so that they push against each other. They don't come together, but they want to push apart. If you hold them in your hands and you move your hands around, you'll feel that you're creating a magnetic field. You can feel it. And so when you're doing the Yin Yang Hands, you are actually doing that with your body, because your body, the left side of your body is feminine, the right side of your body is masculine. And when you put these opposites like this and have them rotate around each other, you start to create a magnetic field that you can feel. And it's very stony. It gets me very high when I do it. So we have to understand that first, that from the void comes the polarity of yin and yang. And it is that interaction of yin and yang that creates the universe. So let's get to some misconceptions. As I said, my experience is that the majority of people in the world, their yin and yang is completely discombobulated. And many women are in the attempt to empower their feminine are actually copying men. They're trying to be men. Men trying to balance out their imbalanced yang, they actually are taking on more feminine qualities, and the problem is it doesn't work. If we're talking, and I'm talking about heterosexual men and women, other people, you can place yourself in whatever category you want. But if we're talking about heterosexual men and women, there's a real misunderstanding and discombobulation and all that. And to help you understand that, let me share with you something I remember reading probably 30 years ago. And there was, about 30 years ago, there was a string of really cool books that came out from masters of different traditions in the East. And they were writing these books about their experience. And anyway, in this particular one, it was written by, I can't remember the name of it. I think it's the Dragon Gate something or other. And this Taoist master had come to the West because of communism. And he was, I believe he was in San Francisco or Washington, Seattle, I can't remember which. Anyway, he is on the street corner with one of his students. One of his students is a Western, person, somebody that grew up in the United States. And they're sitting there on the curb, looking out onto the street. And the student says, Sifu, can you explain to me yin and yang? And he goes, it's a very deep concept. I can't just tell it to you in one sentence. You have to experience it. And he says, please, I keep hearing all these different things and it's very confusing. Can you help me? So he goes, okay. He looks around and he says, okay, you see the traffic going by, the cars zooming past? That's yin. And you see this telephone pole that we're standing next to? He says, that's yang. And the guy says, that is the exact opposite of what I've been told. I've been told that yang is very hot and very, about movement and fire and expression, and that yin is soft and submissive and still. And he says, I guess he says, that's what I read in books. And he says, and the teacher says, well, that's why you can't learn this stuff from books. You have to physically experience it. So this is important to understand. That's what I like about this picture here because we've got these opposites. She's feminine, but she's bright and fiery, and she's got her hand up to her heart, which actually represents the masculine. He's dark, colder looking, and he's got his hand down underneath that, which represents the feminine. And this is the dance of Shiva and Shakti, where they become each other. They merge and they become each other. And so now let's start talking about left hand versus right hand path. Again, you have to forgive me. I've never come. I didn't come from any Western anything. I went directly from born again Christianity, and I walked away from that, and then I went directly into deep esoteric Taoist practice. And there, they didn't do a lot of talking. They just threw you into energy practices and explained it as you went, because there's no point in explaining it to you if you haven't experienced it. It's like trying to talk to somebody who's blind, and you're trying to explain to them a rainbow. They're not going to have any idea what you're talking about. They can't see it, they can't experience it. Unless you've experienced these powers and they're no longer just intellectual ideas, and you've experienced them, then somebody can talk to you about it and throw words at you, and then you can sort it out. Go, ah. And then when somebody comes to you and says, can you explain to me this? You go, you have to experience it. I can't throw words at you. It's not going to work. You have to go do it. So yin and yang. Yin is, my teacher would call the feminine, what's the word he used? I keep blanking out on that word. Devious. You would say, the feminine is very devious. But he didn't mean it in a negative way, like you have to watch out for them because they're going to lie to you. No, she's not devious because she's lying to you. She's devious and deceptive because appearances, you can't go by appearances. But the feminine doesn't do that. The masculine, on the other hand, definitely shows through his appearance. I mean, he doesn't hide anything. He knows exactly what he wants. He's very clear about it. He's straight into your face about it. Feminine is not. The feminine is mysterious. The feminine has ulterior motives. That's not bad either. It just means that the feminine has a motive, and she may not even realize what her motive is. She's doing something with one hand and she's doing something else with another. And if she is doing her part correctly, if she is connected to herself and empowered, it's the best thing you've ever experienced. You have no idea. She's going to lure you into something. You have no idea what the hell's going on, but you will walk away with a smile on your face, empowered and happy. That's if she's connected to herself. So the feminine is devious. The feminine is not on the surface. I had an example. It flew out of my head. So let's talk about the masculine then. So the masculine is direct. Oh, I was going to give you an example. I've shared this many times, but it's a good example. If you ever go to, watch little kids in elementary school when they're having their recess, you will find kids running around and playing and doing all kinds of things. But you will see little boys standing next to each other. They'll stand next to each other and they'll look out at all the action that's going on. They'll be talking to each other, but they'll be looking. This is also true as men get older and they get more testosterone. You'll see this more and more and more. That men will stand next to each other and they'll talk to each other while they're both looking at something else. And you see the little girls, they are facing each other and they're touching each other and they're very animated and their voices are very loud as they talk to each other. And if you, especially again, when people get older, like once young men get to be, past, into adult ages, 18 and over. You're going to see more and more of that standing next to each other, looking out and talking to each other without looking at each other. And then what happens is because men, they want to keep the peace. That's their main goal, is as soldiers, is they want to keep the peace. If two men stare at each other and look each other in the eye, it's potentially a threat. And this is why you don't look, like wolves. You don't look them in the eye. You don't look, you don't look gorillas in the eye. There's a reason why you don't do that, because it's a challenge. So the masculine sits next to each other, keeping the peace, and they don't challenge each other. Women, on the other hand, for them, connecting is emotional, and having strong emotions and being very expressive with the emotions, that is good. They like that. So what do you end up having? Typical scenario: guy comes home from work. If his wife is there, if she's either gotten home from work or whatever, and she's going to want to sit down and she's going to want to talk about the day. And he's going to say, I don't want to talk. I just want to sit here and veg. Why won't you share your emotions with me? She says. And in his mind, that's threatening. She sits across from him and she has a lot of animated emotions. And then she did this and then she did that. And he can't handle it. It's too much for him. On the plains of Africa, you see what? You see the male lions lying in the sun while the female lions are out hunting and killing. It's the opposite of what you would expect. The masculine doesn't want to do a lot. The feminine wants to do a lot. The feminine wants to create. The feminine wants to interact. The masculine wants to retreat and go into a space of peace. So these are extreme generalizations. Please do not get your panties in a bunch if I didn't describe you perfectly. Each human being is a mixture of yin and yang, so you're not going to be one extreme or the other. You're going to be a combination of those two. We're talking about extreme generalities here. All right, so let's talk about right hand versus left hand. And again, I'm just talking energetically. We're talking about energy here. So if you are in a Western tradition, Western magical tradition, take your Western beanie hat, star, sorcerer hat, put it down and just listen. And then you can pick your hat back up and you'll understand and agree with me, most likely. So the goal of the right hand path, which is the masculine, is to attain peace, to attain stillness, to attain emptiness. And the goal of the left-hand path is to create, is to manifest. So that's why the right-hand path, generally speaking, is associated with monks who sit around and meditate for hours at a time. And the left-hand path is about ritual and magic and creating dynamic things and changing reality. And this is masculine versus feminine. So talking about the energy itself. So again, now I'm just going to talk about, we talked about this recently in the last video or maybe the one before. But I've just come to realize fully now, after I've been in this particular Maoshan path for almost, it's been over 30 years. About 30 years. And it's only been recently, because I've had to do reverse engineering on the practices that I have and study, that I've come to realize, the reason why things are energetically so different is because this is a left-hand path. This isn't a right-hand path. And so when it comes to energy in terms of, we're talking now Chinese energy practices, The left-hand path, it goes like this. The energy goes from Qi to Shi to Yi, which is energy to lightning in the heart. Whoops. To, come on, everybody do what I tell you to do. And to intent. So the end result of the left-hand path is intent. So Qi is in the navel. Shi is the lightning center that surrounds the Shen, which is the masculine, the soul. And then Qi to Shi, and then Yi, which is intent. So the pathway of the right-hand path, which is Jing to Qi to Shen, which is sexual energy to energy to spirit. Okay? So those are the two different. Left-hand path, strangely enough, doesn't even deal with the sexual fluids. It goes straight to life force energy. Life force energy, Qi, which is in the navel, it goes from Qi to Shi, which is the feminine energy, the lightning energy that surrounds the soul, which is masculine. The soul sits here. It's surrounded by this lightning energy, which is feminine. And then it goes from that to Yi, which is the third eye of intention. Not the third eye. Most people, when you hear about the third eye, they think, oh, I can see into other realms, and oh, I can see the truth, and I can see the future. This is intent. The third eye creates with intent. So this gives you the end goal. This is the feminine. This is the left-hand path. It goes from energy to the lightning center of the heart to intent, which is what? Creating. With your intention, you create reality. Women create. Women take the energy and the resources around them. They take the man's energy and they use that to create children. And children represents not just child creation, but the representation of any other kind of creation, which is why Venus, a feminine goddess, represents creation in when it comes to music, art, food. These are things create. So the feminine wants to create. The feminine is active. The feminine is not passive. That is on the surface. So on the surface, the masculine is active. Internally, the masculine is stillness. It wants to achieve that. That's its comfort zone, which is just stillness. You get a man and a woman. They both get the flu. The man will get the man flu and he will lie down in bed and all he will do is complain, oh my God, I can't move, I'm in so much pain. The woman with the flu will have the phone in her hand while she's cooking and raising the kids. She can't just stay still. Yeah, I'm sick, I'm staying at home, but she does all this stuff. She's creating and doing. Feminine has to do, it has to create. Masculine, the Jing to Qi to Shen. Now, ironically, the Jing is the sexual center. It's the sexual fluids, among other things. It's not just the sexual fluids, but that's what it's most known for. And what is that? That is creation. So the right-hand path, the masculine, starts with that, but it wants to transmute that. It wants to transmute that sexual active energy and put it into the chi energy, the life force energy, and that energy wants to go then to the spirit, which is the soul, which is peace, stillness. Doesn't want to come up here and create. It wants to achieve peace. So this is the ironic thing, and again, there's full of irony here. Generally speaking, the men pursue women sexually, right? Men can be very, very pushy about it. They chase after women specifically for that. They, they are more likely to objectify somebody based on that. Men generally are more likely to have superficial sex without any relationship. The irony with women is that the truth is that women are more sexual than men. They have much more sexual energy because they create with that energy. They create life with that energy. They create families. They create connections. So externally, they might be, don't objectify me. Stop chasing after me. I want more than that. Well, internally, they actually have far more sexual power than men do. Men, as you know, this is, if you want to gain power through celibacy, this is far more beneficial for men than women. Women don't need to, they just don't need to be celibate to store their energy up. They don't need to do it. Men, if there is some path, and I don't recommend men doing this. There's a way, it's just not necessary. With the stuff that we do, when you do left-hand path stuff, you don't have to be celibate. It doesn't serve you. If you're doing a right-hand path, it might, but you have to know what you're doing. Anyway. But as I said, for women, if they go celibate, it doesn't have the same function for them. It might do something for them emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, but in terms of physical energy, they don't need to hold on to their energy and store it like that from just a physical perspective. So this is why I chose this picture, because it contradicts the understanding of Yin and Yang. They're doing the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing, generally speaking, but it also shows some wonderful things, because there's what's going on under the surface, and then there's what you see on the outside. Another typical example is, in the South back in 18 whatever, right? You had the Southern Belle sitting on the porch drinking a mint julep, dressed in her finest lace, and a line going around the block of suitors, men who want to get on their knees and give her flowers and say, "Please marry me." She says, "Oh, I'm not interested in that. Oh, go away." From an energetic perspective, and I've experienced this, from an energetic perspective, if we're talking about anything other than, don't get me wrong, men can be very pushy and aggressive and abusive and creepy and disgusting and gross. That has to do with something else. That's not about sex. Any of that forced anything is not about sex. It's about control. And it means a man who doesn't have masculinity. So a guy who chases after women in an abusive way, or forces himself on a woman, this has nothing to do with his sexual center. This has to do with he has no power within himself, and he gains it through control. So if we get those weirdos out of the way, and we just talk about normal, healthy, empowered men and women, what you're going to find is that it is always the woman's idea first. If she sees him, or there's something about him that she likes, she sends out an intent. Maybe she only does it unconsciously, but her third eye sends out an intent, which he feels and he's drawn to her, and then he goes, oh my God, she's wonderful. And then he thinks it's his idea, and he goes chasing after her and gets on his knees and says, please, I want to go out with you. And she says, oh, I don't know, I just met you. Oh. Again, the external versus the internal. If it weren't for women, men would never get married. If it weren't for the feminine power, men would never get married. I mean, you can't get a guy to tell a woman he loves her. So, I mean, if girls, if you're dating a guy and on the first date he tells you he loves you, either one of two things is going on. Either he is very advanced and evolved and is aware of himself, or there's something seriously wrong with the guy and you need to step back. The typical man, it'll take him a long time to say, I love you. It won't mean that he doesn't love you. It's just that for him, saying I love you isn't talking about feelings, it's about actions. He's saying that if he says I love you, what he's really saying is I will devote and die to be there for you, to protect you, and to provide for you. I will die making sure that you are safe and loved. And that's not an easy thing to say. That's a huge lifetime commitment. Whereas women, in my experience, are more likely to talk from their emotions. When they say they love you, it may mean that they're committed to you, but it also may mean that in that moment they have a squishy feeling. My ex-wife, she would talk about all of her exes and she would say, and I still love them, all of them. And I would think to myself, what? And she would say that, and I've been with women, maybe some of you women have said this, that as you're breaking up with your man, you will say, and I will always love you. And whenever I hear that, I go, well, then why the hell are you leaving? It doesn't make any sense. Because for me, love isn't just a squishy feeling. It's the masculine saying, I will die to be there with you forever and commit myself to you. Whereas what my ex-wife was saying is that she still has squishy feelings, although there's no way in hell I'm going to be there for that guy. I don't want him anywhere near me. But I still have a squishy feeling about him. I still love them. So, those are some things about the energy, but that's what we're doing in this here is we're doing the left-hand path. And as I've told you before, I'm going to start talking about this. This is a unified energy path, meaning that we are unifying all three of the major energies that spiritual practices all create. The Kundalini, which is, if you're doing yoga, mantra, East Indian meditations, that's your primary energy. You might work with prana, which is chi as well, do some pranayama, but your main focus is going to be Kundalini. We are stimulating the Kundalini. And then you have chi, which is life force energy. We are doing qigong, and we are bringing that together. That masculine power of the chi, we are getting that going. And then we have the feminine power, which is the lightning center of the heart, the energy that surrounds the Shen, the spirit. We are also taking that power, which is normally dormant. Normally, it just stays self-contained and has only one function, which is to protect the soul from the harshness of three-dimensional reality. People being cruel, mean, abusive, breaking their word, betraying you. Those things are very damaging to the spirit. So the lightning energy stays dormant surrounding that, protecting it from all of those attacks. What we have learned to do because of these guys here, the Maoshan, we have learned to tap into that most powerful of lightning energy and release it into the body, into the aura. And the combination of these three energies, the Kundalini, the prana or the chi, and the lightning energy together, I don't know that there's a more powerful combination of energy work out there. I haven't found it anyway. And we are, once you get into the higher levels, if you decide to go to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge and you go deeper into that, we're going to start moving more and more into the left-hand path. And if you do the elite practice of the Mao Shan, you are going into that left-hand path as well, really opening up the lightning center. The end result of the masculine, the right-hand path, and again, we're talking generalities here. The end result of the right-hand path is self-empowerment. The soul, because the soul is masculine. The self-empowerment, to be individuated, to be complete within yourself and finding infinity within. This is the goal of the masculine. The goal of the feminine is to connect. So if what you want is to be able to communicate with the ascended masters, if you want to be able to communicate and interact with the gods, the elves, other beings in other realms, even if you wanted to be psychic, which is not my thing at all, but if you wanted to do that, the left-hand path is the path for that, because the left-hand path is about connection. It's about relationship, and it's about magic. So this is the path that we are on. We are on a left-hand path, which is a path of power, a path of transformation, and it is a path of shamanism. So we will become, the longer that you do this work, you will become more and more of a conduit for the energies, for the gods, for the ascended masters, and you will gain more ability to interact with others. People have asked me, can I use this power to heal? The answer to that question is yes, you can. The left-hand path is the path that does that. We talked last time about each side has a price that you have to pay in order to achieve it. The price that you have to pay on the right-hand path is discipline and solitude. You must pay that. You must discipline your desires. You must discipline your energy. And you do that through the Jing Qi de Shen. That is a path of discipline. It takes time. And you gain power along the way, but it takes a long time. The idea is that if somebody is not highly evolved, it is better that they do the right-hand path, because what they need is self-control and they need discipline, so that when they do eventually gain some power, they have looked at themselves and they've let go of their selfish attachments, their violence, their greed, their lack of awareness. And through a long life of discipline and internal retrospection, they then are able to gain power, but by the time they get there, they don't want to do anything with it because they've come to some maturity and some enlightenment. So the price that they pay is time, discipline, solitude, self-denial. They have to deny themselves pleasures and desires. Left-hand path. Left-hand path is not a slow path, it is a quick path. So almost from the beginning, when you do the left-hand path, you gain power. I mean, you might even gain huge amounts of power the first time you do any one of these practices. And so you gain power very quickly. And on the left-hand path, you seek to satiate your desires in a healthy way. Right-hand path, you deny yourself desires. The left-hand path, the idea is you want to get to the same place as the right-hand path. The right-hand path achieves peace because after a lifetime of denial and discipline and internal retrospection, they no longer need that. They find out that true satisfaction comes from in the infinite soul and connecting to the spirit. So they don't need it anymore. But it's a struggle throughout that to deny themselves those things. Left-hand path says, well, we want to get to the same place, but the way we do it is we satiate those desires in as healthy a way as possible. And by satiating the desires, you come to the same conclusion of, oh, so that isn't going to make me happy. Okay, and then at the end of their lives, they're both in the same spot where they both don't need anything other than their own spirit. But the right-hand path, you have to take the time to gain the power. Left-hand path, power comes immediately. But instead of spending a lifetime looking at your emotional issues and your attachments and slowly giving those up, the left-hand path, you are forced to deal with all of your attachments and all of your judgments and your irrational dysfunctions. It can be very challenging. So you can have a situation where you simultaneously have a lot of power, but you also have a lot of emotions that you're having to deal with. And so you still have to have discipline. So both the right and the left have to have discipline, because if you don't have discipline, you won't last. The right-hand path, the discipline is dealing with the boredom that comes from all the denial. The left-hand path, the discipline comes from not reacting to all of the stimulation that's going on, all of the crazy emotions and the intensity, and not losing it, and staying committed to the practice and letting the practice evolve and give you peace. The left-hand path will bring deep peace, deep satisfaction. But again, the price is you're going to have to look at a lot of crazy stuff flying around, a lot like Dr. Manhattan over here. All right, so those are some general things about the right and the left-hand path. I am happy to take any questions if there are any. Best way to interact with me is to ask me an honest question. You write the word question in all caps so that I can see it. I prefer that over just your opinion. To me, that's noise. I just have to scroll through it, and I don't like that. But I will, and I'm happy to take any questions that you have. Thundra Staves Rangel says, hello, Mahadeva. So you can go to her webpage, which is thunderwizard.com. She is one of my certified astrologers, and she does all kinds of other readings and wonderful things. You can go check her out at her channel. What else? Anybody else? drjweird.thunderwizard.com. He also says hello. He is a certified rune reader. So if you want to get a rune reading from a master rune reader, you can go to his website, drjwyrd.thunderwizard.com. If you want me to do the same thing for you that I just did for these two, you can go to lockdown.thunderwizard.com, and you can learn my Vedic astrology practice, as well as my 9-world rune reading practice. And if you pass very simple tests, I will go ahead and give you a website, joshmo.thunderwizard.com. And if you have any other things, you can put those on your site as well. And I'll also put you on the landing site for the astrology, which is astrology.thunderwizard.com, or rune readings, which is runereadings.thunderwizard.com. And if you go, you'll see all of the apprentices that are there. And for those that do the work, that do the work to promote themselves and advertise, they can make a living. I don't guarantee anything other than giving you the platform to use for yourself. And then we have Vincent.thunderwizard.com. He says hello. Vincent is a certified astrologer, and he also just had me put up a couple of links. He does some other things. He does some life coaching and will help you to find your soul desire and achieve your success. So if you want to check out his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. All right, let's see. Any other questions now? Glee's question. Dear Mahadeva, is there a practice that can help improve relationships, like having a more constructive mindset to avoid fights? Well, yeah, all of them. I mean, there's a lot in your question that I could dive into. But if we go on the assumption that your fights are because you're out of balance, because that's kind of what you're saying here. You're saying, what I'm hearing that is, I don't want to fight. I want to change the way I'm, so I don't either create fights or start fights or react to fights. That's a whole other subject. But there isn't like one practice. So here's the one practice so that you never have to fight again. Before I answer that, let me share something with you. This was a long time ago, again, probably 35 years ago, 30 years ago, something. And I was in a couples session with my girlfriend at the time. And she thought I was, how did she put it? She said I was too much work, or I was something like that. And she said, I never fought with my ex-boyfriend, to which the therapist said, that's why you're not with him. Because you never fought with him. You're not with him anymore, right? You broke up with him. Yeah, because you guys never fought. You never interacted. So fights in relationships, if we're talking generally speaking, it means that each of you are trying to get closer, and you're bumping into your narcissism. So, all relationships, they start out as projection and transference, meaning that for the first 6 to 9 months, you're in love with yourself. You think you're in love with the other person, but what you're doing is you're projecting onto them all of the things that you want to be loved for. You see it in them. And you fall in love with yourself. It's very narcissistic. It has to happen. Otherwise, nobody would get together, because we're all so very different. And then when you get to around 6 months, 9 months, year, then you start that the transference and the projection starts to fade away, and you start to go, oh my God, there's a person right there. That's not who I thought. They're not at all who I thought they were. And then you have to learn to love them for who they are, not for, what you thought you loved in them, which was yourself. And during that time, 6 months, 9 months, that's when people fight. That's when people break up. I used to, for, my early adulthood, my relationships never went past 9 months. And I didn't know why. And now I know why. It's because I wasn't ready. I couldn't get past that stage and get to a real stage of intimacy, which is being truly seen and seeing the other person and accepting each other exactly as you are. You can't get there without fighting. You can't. I suppose if you are fully, completely, totally enlightened, then whenever a feeling comes up, instead of fighting, you'll go, wow, I'm really aware that I'm having a lot of fear of intimacy right now, and it's making me want to act out against you or run away. And your partner goes, oh wow, I have that same feeling, and let's hold each other's hand and look each other in the eye and see who you. But that can happen, but more than likely, no. You guys are going to yell and scream, and you're going to get into fights, and you put the you put the toilet paper on backwards. I want it to be on the outside, not on the inside. And you left the toilet seat up, and you're going to fight over all kinds of nonsense. It's because you're You're trying to work out your own control of your reality. So if the underlying assumption of your question is, I'm bad because I keep fighting with my boyfriend, I don't know that. And it makes me want to have a session with you and your boyfriend and talk about what you guys are fighting about. And for all I know, your desire to not fight with him could be coming from your passive aggressive codependent need to always be okay and that there can't be any conflict. And so, you don't see what you're doing and all that. And he's reacting to your passive aggressive codependence. I have no idea. This is an example. And you think, I wish we didn't have to fight. Could be the other way around. It could be that he's being destructive and abusive, and you want to keep it going no matter what, and you don't want to fight. And so just because somebody says, I don't want to fight in relationships, that ticks all kinds of strange boxes for me, and it makes me want to go deeper with you. So the short answer to your question is yes, any practice. So Glees makes me want to ask you, are you doing any of this? Are you subscribed to the 90-day lightning qigong? Are you doing any of the free practices? Are you doing the meditation? Any practice, any energy practice and meditation you do will make relationships better. It might end up destroying your current relationship. Because if he's down here and you're up here and you're starting to grow, then he's going to fight with you and you're going to fight with him. And so the temptation might be to walk away from your spirituality so you can come back down and meet him down here and have a destructive relationship. Could be the other way around. I don't know. But the assumption that if we get rid of the fights, everything will be okay, that's not true at all. There are people. I was married. I was with my ex-wife for 10 years. We lived together off and on for 10 years. We were married for 4 of them. And there were periods where we weren't fighting, but I was so miserable. I had pushed all of my pain and my sadness and my discomfort. I pushed it way down, and I started getting really physically I started having chronic physical pain. So just not fighting doesn't necessarily mean that's a good thing. You got me? I would prefer if your question, you ask the question, how can I improve my relationships? Is there a practice for that? Yeah, any of them. Doesn't mean it'll make the current relationship work, but it will clean you up and get you ready for the next relationship, which will be better. But for all I know, it might totally magically make this relationship work. I have no idea. But the short answer is do the practices and let your life work itself out. And don't be afraid to have conflict. Conflict is not a problem if 2 people are evolved. In fact, I'll tell you this, the next woman I'm going to marry, if I ever do, is a woman who will be able to sit across from me. And when she's upset with me, she'll be able to look me in the eye without judging me. And she'll say, I'm really feeling angry towards you. I'm really feeling murderously rageful towards you right now. And then I can say, oh my gosh, why? And then she'll tell me, and I'll either be able to say, well, that's got nothing to do with me. How can I help you? Or, oh my God, you're right. I didn't realize I was acting that way towards you. I'm so sorry. I'll marry that woman. If she can look me in the face and tell me her most destructive, negative feelings without attacking me, I will put a ring on her finger, because that will tell me what she's going to be like when things are bad. When things are bad, I know that she'll be able to tell me her negative feelings without devaluing me, attacking me, and hurting me. But people who constantly have a smile on their face and everything's okay and they deny all their problems, at some point they explode all over you. And I don't want that. I've had that. I don't want that. So meditate on the idea. What is wrong with fighting? It's not fun, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Jaren Ragunanen. Question. Please write, you see above you, question in all caps? I can see it easier if you do it that way. I've come across many powerful stuff but I feel fear or laziness or a form of resistance. Is this problem unique to me? I don't know what powerful stuff you're talking about. And I don't, are you saying you have a fear of the practice? You have a fear of life? Short answer is yes. It's called unconscious resistance. I just uploaded a couple of videos about it. Go watch one of the latest videos I just uploaded about overcoming the neural worn pathways in your brain. Whenever you do anything that transforms you to the next level, you are going to have resistance because your mind, your unconscious mind and your programming says that you need to be this way. And if this way is less than what your highest awareness is, then when you break out of that, your unconscious mind thinks that you're going to destroy yourself. So it jumps up and it makes you afraid and it makes you angry or makes you lazy, as you say. I don't think there's any such thing as laziness. I think that there's resistance. Because to think about it, being lazy takes a lot of commitment and effort. When something in you is saying, get up and go to the gym, or get up and clean your room, do your taxes, whatever it is, and you say, no, I'm going to sit here and watch Netflix, or I'm going to play video games, the energy that goes into that commitment is a lot. So you're not lazy. You're resistant. You said that right. You have resistance towards doing something that gets you to the next level. So without knowing anything more, you say many powerful stuff. I'm assuming many powerful practices. And doing them creates fear and laziness and other things. Is that normal? Yes. Everybody, if they don't go through that, something's wrong. It means you're doing something that doesn't, it's cotton candy. There's no substance to it. There's no resistance as you go forward, then it's probably not of any value. If it creates resistance for you, and it's not the resistance of, hey, this is bad for me. I literally can't be in this. But if it's just, fear and other things, then that is a normal resistance that you have to act contrary to. And I talk about that in the book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. All right, let's see what else. Steve Marketer, question. I want to ask about a previous video. Alrighty, I like that you're asking about one of my videos and you're not asking about somebody else's. So yes, I will listen to that question. How can I work with the Helm of Awe? If I draw it and make a pendant, how can I empower it? Well, you've asked a whole huge slew of questions. If you go up here to thunderwizard.com and you click around, you will see the lowest level of subscription is the Mastery of Shamanism course. In that course, I go through what I call the Thunder Wheel, the Helm of Awe, and I teach you how to work with all of the 9 worlds in the 8 directions, and I teach you how to use the runes. I do that in my books. So it's kind of hurtful because it tells me that you haven't investigated my videos or my books. I have 3 rune books, and in the rune book, Advanced Rune Shamanism, I go into depth talking about the 9 worlds and the Helm of Awe and all of that. So how can you work with it? There's multiple ways. You can find that here on this channel. If you don't know how to do it, again, I've been around a long time and I've got tons of videos, so it's understandable if you haven't seen them yet, especially if you're new. But I recommend that everybody learn how to search within my channel. On a phone or on a tablet, it's going to be different. On a laptop or a desktop, you go to my channel page. You type in Thunder Wizard on YouTube and you'll see my channel page, thunderwizard.com, and you'll see my face. You go on there and you, not the top menu, but the one below it, about videos, and there's a magnifying glass. You click on that. Type in 9 worlds. Type in Thunder Wheel, because I don't use the word Helm of Ah, I use the word Thunder Wheel. Type in Thunder Wheel. Go on to my playlists and look for Thunder Wheel 9 Worlds. Seriously, guys, I mean this for your benefit. I have put so much effort into getting out so much information. It is in your best interest to treat this channel like a library. Learn how to research in my channel. You don't even have to subscribe. If you just put the time and effort to look all this stuff up, you'll never have to ask me another question, except a specific question about a specific practice. So, Steve, I don't know how much you've been on my channel. Put some time and effort. There's so much information that I give about the Helm of Ah and the Thunder Wheel and all that. And anyway, enjoy researching. How can you empower it? All that kind of stuff. I talk about that. And so I hope you find what you're looking for. All right. I don't see, that's not a question. That's not a question. That's not a question. Darmi of Alba. No, Patrick Neal. Okay. Patrick Neal. Question. How does reincarnation work? I found your channel because you were talking about it. It's a good question. I will answer that. I have, again, the same thing I just said to the other person, I say to you. I have so many videos on reincarnation. Learn how to search within my channel and you'll find hours and hours and hours of me talking about it. But very quickly, I will explain it to you. You first have to know the basic assumption about human life. So human beings, the way we are now, we are physical bodies. We've got a brain and we've got a nervous system and we've got a psyche and we've got these 3 selves, and you're none of those things. Those are things that empower your avatar. Avatar is a great word because if I remember correctly, it means descendant, something that descends. Avatar in the Hindu tradition is a deity that descends in human form, and that's exactly what you are. You are a deity. Your soul is a deity, like Odin or Shiva. It's on that level. It is a celestial deity in human form. So we, as these, even if we use the Hebrew tradition, the Elohim, the council of gods, they went down and they created the universe. Let us go down. Let us create light. Let us create this. You were one of those beings that said, let us go create this 3-dimensional universe. So, not that you believe this, but anybody listening, get rid of any of that garbage out there about soul traps, about false beings of light trying to trap you into reincarnation. That is not possible. Why? Because whatever they're talking about, you are more powerful than any of them. You created this universe and everything in it before you incarnated. You created a 3-dimensional playground for you to live in and experience. Now, bear in mind, the soul doesn't see things the same way that you do. Just like if you're playing a video game and you're going off to fight the zombies and you're shooting the zombies and the zombie bites you and your character dies, you get upset for 5 or 10 seconds, and then you realize that it was just a game. It doesn't mean anything. And you go and then you hit, start, and you go back again. So the physical you is like the character in whatever game you're playing. It takes it really seriously. But your soul knows that this is only temporary and this is an experience. That's not to minimize the tremendous amount of pain and horror and all the kinds of things that people go through. It just means that you won't feel those things as intensely when you go back to the realm of the spirit. So reincarnation is that you were floating around in bliss, in infinite power and time, and you said, I want to learn and grow. I want to go and be in that. I want to put myself in that human body. And I make I liken it to putting on virtual reality, but it's not. It's obviously much more than that, obviously. So I don't want to minimize that. But you did descend. Your soul descended into that infant body as it was being made in your mother's womb. You descended in there and you chose to do that. You came here for two things. And if you simplify it and understand these two things, this can be very helpful. Again, my book, go to courses.thunderwizard.com to see how to get to my books. But my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Read that book. It's inexpensive. If you don't want to pay the $10 for the book, you can listen to me on this channel read the book out loud. Okay? However you get a hold of that book, read it or listen to it. And if you can master what's in that book, that's the most important thing there is in life. So you were this being floating around in infinity. You are a god. You chose to incarnate into this physical form, and there are two things you came here to do. The first one is to fulfill the desires of your soul, not to meet God's needs, not to burn off your karma, none of that. You came here because your soul said, I want to play. I want to have fun. Now that might be spending your life going to third world countries and digging wells for people, or helping people in whatever way, being a doctor, a priest, I don't know. That may be the fun thing for your soul to do. It may be climbing mountains. It may be becoming president. It may be, I could say other things. Your soul came here to have fun. When your soul has fun, every single other entity in the universe gets bumped up a notch. So your literal command, the most high, God's will for you, quote unquote, is to make your soul happy. And before anybody starts asking me stupid questions like, well, what if my soul desire is to slam heroin in my neck or to chop people's heads off? That's obviously not a soul desire, because that doesn't empower and help other people. When you live your true soul desire, you empower everybody. So that's the first thing you came here to do. The second thing you came here to do was to overcome your karmic resistance. Karmic resistance will always manifest in some measure of having to choose between, should I do what my soul wants, or should I make my parents happy, make my society happy, make my religion happy, fit in, be accepted. And you will run into these obstacles as you continue through life. And those are the two things you came here to do. And when you're done with this life and your soul leaves this body, you will go, hang on. There was that one thing I came down there to do and I forgot all about it. I got so wrapped up in trying to be famous or fit into other people. I totally forgot. I got to go back. Got to go back because I wanted to do that. I still want to do that. So I'm going to go back. You aren't forced into reincarnation because you did something wrong. That's not how it works. That's pure nonsense. It's at the very least a misunderstanding of how it works. When you live fearlessly for your soul and you give yourself, you satisfy every desire of your soul, then you'll go, yeah, that was good. That was fun. I really like that. Okay, is there anything else that I want on planet Earth? Yeah, this time I think I want to do this. Okay, I'm going to go back. And when you fulfill all of those desires, and if you did it perfectly every time you came down here, you would fulfill all those desires until you got rid of all your list. Your soul has a big list of things it wants to do in this reality. But when you go down and you make the decision to throw your soul desire away and you try and meet other people's needs, you try to get other people's love, other people's approval, fit into society, whatever it is, at the expense of your soul desire, then you build up a bunch of karmic resistance. And then you wake up and you go, oh my God, that life, I just did not do what I wanted to do at all. Oh my God. All right, I have to go back. But you know that when you go back, you're going to have this pile of karmic resistance, which means that you will be faced with the same problems you had in the previous life that you chose not to deal with correctly for your own satisfaction, and you won't know. It'll be more challenging each time that you don't listen to your soul and you listen to your desire to be accepted and loved by society or your parents or whomever. Then the next time you come back, it gets foggier and you have more of a challenge. And your spiritual practice becomes more important. So this is the misunderstanding. Karma is not a judgment. It's you. Well, your karmic stuff, the challenges that come up in life is you going, yeah, in this life, I'm not going to make that same mistake. And so, I'll give you an example like, I'm guessing, I don't know, but Dr. Stephen Hawking, right? He was the Einstein of our time. He just recently passed away. He was a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant physicist. And he ended up getting ALS, where his brain and his nervous system started detaching and he just lived in his head. So the good news about that for him is that he had he had the one thing he needed the most, which was his brain. And so he could spend all day thinking about physics. So if that was his soul desire, he created a karmic challenge that helped him to focus. He could have chosen to be really upset and really hurt. I mean, I wouldn't want to live like that. But, what I have seen of him, he seemed really content and happy with at least his career. So there's an example for you. So the bottom line is you chose to come here. You created this world. You want to experience it. Your main reason for being here is to enjoy this three-dimensional reality. And while you reach out to experience that, you will bump up against your karmic resistance, and you will have to continually make choices between what your soul wants and what other people wants. And when you're done and you've finally given your soul all of the things it wants to do, you won't have to come back. You won't want to come back. And if you, in between lives, if you had a horrible life and it was awful, you can spend as much time as you want doing other things, going other places. meditating, relaxing. You can playing around in the spirit, and then eventually, when you heal, you'll go, do I want to go back to Earth? And if you do, you'll come back. How's that? What else? Dharma of Albi question. Is it normal to feel really buzzed after doing the 5 element postures and breaths? Yes, that's why I did it. Because it got me really high. And I enjoy that feeling when I do that. For the first time, I mean, how about every time? It was a really interesting experience, very much enjoying the 90-day practice. Good, I'm glad. Welcome. I hope it continues to help you. Other questions? Weng Fat Ing. Question. After witnessing positive physical changes of practicing summoning the immortal, celestial, butterfly set, Maojian spirit, destructive cycle, can the Maojian spirit be done in nurturing cycle? Yeah. I mean, it's not the destructive cycle, I mean, is what I was taught. It's really not the destructive cycle. I don't want to get into that, but wood, metal, fire, water, earth, yes, is the destructive cycle. And but you can do that. I don't recommend doing that with the physical Maoshan 5 element kung fu forms. Do that the way it's meant to be done. If you're talking about working with the elements and doing the element breaths and postures, and you want to do that in the constructive cycle, which is wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, go right ahead. That's what normally is taught. And I teach people to do both. So you can do both. Don't do it in the Maoshan spirit fighting. Leave that the way it is. Wood, metal, fire, water, earth. I know because I've played around with it, and when it comes to the Maoshan stuff, the high level Maoshan stuff, follow instructions. It's too powerful to screw around with. What else? Flux Pavilion. Question. In advanced Maoshan lightning power of the heart physically, can lightning power of the heart physically appear as lightning? First question, are you doing it? Are you doing any of the practices? So answer that question. I won't answer your second, the last part of your question until you answer my question. What of my practices are you doing? What else? Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I'm becoming more aware of how I've been resisting my evolution, and it makes me feel disappointed in myself. Well, it's an honest feeling, and I appreciate you having your feeling. And as you know, the whole point of you sharing your feelings is to have them. And that feeling won't destroy you. And it's okay to have it. Have it, accept it, love yourself in it. You already know what actions to take. You've taken huge actions just today, because I work with Vincent. You took huge actions just today, so you're on the right path. And it's very understandable that after taking such brave actions, you're going to have some resistance come up in the form of some negative feelings. But know that that feeling of being disappointed in yourself, that's a programmed feeling. It's an old wound. It's not your spirit. It's okay to have it. Just, I hope you can know that. My favorite positive affirmation, and I'll write it down for everybody because it's fabulous, is, even though I have this feeling, I thoroughly and completely accept myself. Even though I have this feeling, I thoroughly and completely accept myself. Say that to yourself over and over and over again. Okay. So, Flux Pavilion says, yes, I do heaven and earth meditation, tear, energy ritual, Qigong ritual, and the Huo breath. Great. Those are two really great practices, and if those are the only practices that you do for the rest of your life, they didn't cost you anything, right? They were free, If you do just those practices for the rest of your life, you will achieve everything you could want. To get back to your question, can the where is it? Can the lightning power of the heart physically appear as lightning? Why don't you do the lightning qigong for a year and find out? That's the best way to experience it, is to master it and then find out. So that's my answer to you. That's like sitting on, it's like you're sitting there and you're watching people eat this really great meal, and you've got $10 in your pocket and the meal is $8, and you're sitting there looking at it and you're going, I wonder what that tastes like. And then you ask somebody, hey, does that taste good? Yeah, it tastes really good. You should try it. Well, what does it taste like? I don't know, have it yourself. That's what that question is. You're asking me this because if I give you the answer you want, you might feel motivated to go do it. Go do it and find out. If you subscribe to the Lightning Qigong, you don't like it, you can unsubscribe whenever you want. What have you got to lose, man? Just to let everybody know, today is the 31st. So if you are planning on subscribing, and I recommend everybody do, I would wait until it becomes the 1st, and then I would subscribe, because they charge you whenever you sign up. So best time to do it is sign up at the beginning of the month. If you sign up now, you'll get charged for this whole last month, and I don't want that. So wait until the 1st, and then go in and subscribe. Is that it? I don't see any other questions. All right, so we are just about to upload. I'm just about to upload the Earth practice, which is this right here. And this is just bits and pieces of it. But the Earth practice is the 5th of the Maoshan 5 elements. And it is, I wish I could explain it, but again, it's something you have to experience to really understand. But this Earth element will give you the ability to, if you're able to apply it to yourself, that Earth element has the ability to see things from so many different angles within yourself and other people. Like if you've noticed, lots of times I can see where somebody's trying to go. I can see the angles that they're trying to come at, even if they're presenting themselves in a certain way. That Earth element gives me the ability to sort of rotate everything around, and I can see where people are really trying to go. It can give you, the Earth element gives you the ability to comprehend life. And that means being able to see things from multiple angles. And it allows you to comprehend life. It also allows you to digest life, to consume life and digest it. Because the Earth element has to do with the digestive tract. But that's, absorb, digest, to be satiated by your interaction with life. This is what the Earth element can give you from this practice. So I recommend everybody check it out. I recommend everybody go to thunderwizard.com. I recommend that you sign up as a Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, but there are other practices. If you sign up as the Warrior Lightning Qigong practice, you will have access to everything beneath it, which is underneath that is the Manifestation Mastery course, which is hundreds of hours of videos teaching you how to turn on the switch of the universe so that the universe will provide you with all of the resources you need in life. And then the Mastery of Shamanism course will give you just that. mastery of shamanism, hundreds and hundreds of hours. So I do recommend people subscribe. We've got courses.thunderwizard.com if you want to see all of the stuff, all of my books, all of my teachings and packages and all that stuff. Everything I offer you'll see there. And then, of course, you have this, which is the elite practice, which is done in conjunction with that. All right. I think questions showed up just before I was finished with that. Atham Animist, question. Tonight I was on my way to my first Coda meeting. I met resistance along the way, but embraced my feelings and found peace even though no one showed up. Was this satiating my desire? It wasn't so much satiating your desire, although I'm sure that's part of it. It's that you took action towards what your soul needs. You took fearless action against your resistance, because Coda meetings, the main thing that you learn in Coda is to go contrary to your negative codependent self-sabotage. So just making the decision to go to the meeting, getting in the car and driving to it, that was the action itself. That's all you have responsibility for. You don't have any responsibility for any control over if somebody shows up or not. So nobody showed up. You did your part. The universe is going to reward you for that. And it did, because you said you found peace. That peace was the universe saying, I recognize you taking action towards your highest empowerment, and I'm going to reward you for that. In other words, keep doing it. Do it again. Don't stop. What else? Nothing else? Okay. No more questions, so I guess that's it for tonight. Thank you guys for showing up. I've done all of the sales that I need to do for today. And again, I say to everybody, especially if you're new, put time and effort into watching the channel. Learn, go to the playlists, learn how to search from within the channel. There's so much here, and you can learn about everything. So many different, maybe not everything, so many different things. And I put a lot of time and effort over the years making those videos for you. These are free resources for your empowerment, and I hope that you make use of them. Okay, so that's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Stay safe. If you are somebody who is, if you've gotten COVID, or if you haven't gotten COVID yet, everybody's going to get it. Everybody is going to get this latest form of COVID. So I recommend that you go to COVID19criticalcare.com, which is COVID and then the numbers 19criticalcare.com, to find out all of the vitamins and supplements and off-label prescriptions you can be taking in order to protect yourself. And if you've already got it and you're having it, all the things you can take while you're sick that will reduce the length and severity of your COVID experience. And then, according to the CDC, you will be as immune as anybody. As the CDC has said, if you've had COVID and recovered, it doesn't matter whether you're vaccinated or not, you have the maximum amount of protection. And maybe this will all be, once we have it, we'll all be completely protected. So, all right. That's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Stay safe, and I will see you guys all very soon.